Take me through the contract issues you're having, and what are the negotiations like now?
Well, basically, at that, I believe that was the time, and I'd have to read my book here real quick, but I came in with a stack of papers. Imagine that. Here's the ratings. Here's the numbers. Every time Bobby Eaton's in a main event with Ric Flair, it's the highest rated show of the month. Every time the Midnight Express is on the show, by the way, we haven't missed anything. We're the only ones that haven't missed any dates, that have consistently performed. Everybody raves about the matches. They tear the house down. All the statistics and all the facts. Herd's response was he wanted to make me an announcer, sign Bobby Eaton to a contract for less money, and put Stan on a per week verbal deal, and split them up as a team. You can imagine what my response was to Jim Herd. That's when, as the time JR told me in a corner one time, he said, well, because he every once in a while would tell me what Herd said behind my back when I wasn't there. Herd said, talking about me in the Midnight, said, I haven't seen such loyalty since Korea. I was not interested in breaking up the greatest performing tag team at that time in the business. I was not interested in not managing them, and I was not interested actually, and if that was the case, in working for WCW anymore. We would do something else, whatever that else may be. And as a matter of fact, when was it? It was February 11th in Knoxville, Tennessee. We had a match with the Rock and Roll Express, did $37,000. It was 4,000 people. That's when I said, Knoxville, these people are still coming. This is one of the only good houses we've done in I don't know how long, and they love wrestling. There could be a territory here. So in the back of my mind, I had, as soon as I can get the fuck out of here, right? Because I'd already met Rick Rubin.
Right.
So I was just, at this point, I was marking the time off on, on the contract and everything, right? Because I wasn't going to turn down 150 grand yet. So anyway, that was the negotiation, and I was like, fuck, we ain't going to get anywhere with this fucking guy, so tell you what, we're probably going to be done. But then I talked to Rick. I said, wait a minute. How about this? Because the Four Horsemen was two, because Ole was
right
in the office, and reluctantly at that, and wasn't going to wrestle anymore, so it was Flair and Arn. We had nobody else. The roster was coming and going, and as you can see, starting to go to shit. I said, all right, how about if we put everybody in the place they want? I will retire as a manager, and I'll just do the announcing on TBS. Sign Bobby Eaton and Stan Lane to another contract for the same terms, and we will make them the other two of the Four Horsemen. And Flair was all over this, because woman would use her womanly wiles to make this negotiation. That way, the Horsemen could be restored to at least where not only were the Horsemen best friends in real life and a great group, but also they were known as being the best working in-ring heels in the company. That's what made the Horsemen. So now you've got the four best in-ring working heels, again, as a group of horsemen. And the Midnight Express has a pedigree. It's not like we put two schlubs in the fucking Horsemen. They've been World Tag Team Champions, U.S. Tag Team Champions. It gets Bobby and Stan another contract. It gives Herd what he wants, which is, for whatever reason, to just break us apart. And it benefits the company and the product. It benefits the boys, and then we can last out our contract, is what I'm thinking. The next one we sign in April, and then wherever the fuck we go, we go. Because I was, in the back of my mind, I thought, Herd can't last forever, because nobody can fuck shit up like this bad. Because, I mean, shit's dropping like fucking flies, everywhere. So I'm thinking maybe if we stay a year like George Scott, we'll outlast Herd.
Well, the committee approves this.
Yes.
Why does Herd not?
He did. More on that. Hold on here. Okay, the negotiations I had were after the March 13th TV taping. Or during that period of time, because on March 14th, I went to Hawaii with my wife at the time. And I was gone because I had to get away from these fucking people. And I was gone until March 22nd. I came back in Toledo, Ohio. I had gone to Hawaii. This was the deal that we had made. And then we were going to re-sign the contracts. Everybody's going to be happy. And this show was written. I get back from Hawaii, and JR is at the show, and he says, Jim, I need to talk to you. What's the matter? He said, Herd's decided not to do the deal. I said, what are you talking about? He said, he changed his mind. He doesn't think the Midnight should be members of the Horsemen. So he's not going to do it. And I'm still a member of the booking committee at this point, right?
Not for long, but yes.
Exactly, for about another 13 seconds.
Exactly.
Because I said, this is fucking it. This is fucking it. He said, no, he said, because, JR's always tries to be diplomatic and professional. He says, Corny, he says, come to the booking meeting in Chicago on the 23rd, I believe it was, at the airport somewhere, and before our show, and plead your case. I said, JR, let me tell you something. And this is I swear to God, I remember this better than I remember anything in my life. I said, I'm not coming to that booking meeting tomorrow or ever, because if I do, I will plead my case by taking these two fingers and putting them 2 knuckles deep in Jim Herd's eye sockets. I quit the booking committee, and when our contract is up here in 4 or 5 weeks or whenever it is, we're done. We'll be out of the way, and that motherfucker can take this company and shove it up his fucking ass, and it'll rot. It'll rot there, like bad beef in his fucking colon, right? And that's exactly what I did. And by the way, if you'll notice, when I get my payoff, no, you know what? It was Canton, Ohio at the taping. It was Canton, Ohio, not Toledo. I knew it was Ohio, but we came back and worked this weekend.
Yeah, the handwriting gets more maniacal.
Yeah. We came back and worked this weekend, St. Louis and Baltimore and Johnstown, and then in Canton, Ohio. That's when he told me. I knew it was Canton. But anyway, if you will notice, the next time that I get a booking committee, remember I was supposed to get $300 a week? Yeah. And they paid you every 2 weeks then on your contract and everything. So like we were getting these drizzly payoffs, like Philadelphia, April 7th, did $40,000. That wasn't even 4,000 people in Philadelphia. We got a $250 payoff. Atlanta, I didn't even have the house recorded. It was so shitty. Our contract payment for the 2 weeks, which basically made up what we were supposed to be making from the payoffs, was $2,869, but the booking committee fee, $128.58. He prorated it. He didn't even give me the whole week. He prorated from the last period until the 2 or 3 days or whatever it was that I said, fuck you, and quit it. So I got $128.58. That was my last booking committee payoff. But at any rate, and we're working every night now, by the way. We still have never missed a fucking match. We're working with Brian and Zink, but just regular matches and, doing a finish or whatever. They're winning almost every night. So it's basically when he told me that, yes, arriving at the taping, I said, it's in the book. I should have read my own book. Herd vetoed everything. I worked the tapings that night. I did color on both shows. So anyway, at the booking committee meeting, which was on fucking 28th and, before Harrisonburg, Virginia, after the TV, they all flew to Atlanta and did the booking committee meeting. So we go to Hampton, Virginia. I stay on the road. We go to Hampton, Virginia on March 29th. We walk in the Hampton Coliseum, and there's Wahoo, because Wahoo now is one of the agents.
Okay.
And they put him on the committee also. We passed in the night. I loved Wahoo, but we didn't even get a chance to work together because he started right as I quit. He told us, he said, boys, we had a meeting in Atlanta today, and every single one of us overruled Herd. Jim Ross and myself and whoever else was on the committee. Everybody said that he should renew you guys. And so you're renewed at the same terms for another year. And I pitched my fucking bag of and Stan Lane kicked his goddamn suitcase and his gun. And of course, Bobby never gets mad, and he just sat down. And Wahoo's like, what the
Thanks, Wahoo.
I said, Wahoo, we were wanting to fucking leave. We couldn't wait to get the fuck out of this goddamn zoo. He had never seen anybody be greeted with, we've all got you 6-figure contracts guaranteed for another year, and we're fucking pissed, right? So that was one of the worst days of my fucking life.
Does Eddie, when he's in WCW, is he suggesting things like that, creative ideas, or is he just one of the rank and file?
Here's the problem. And I loved Eddie. He's a month older. He was a month older than I was, and we grew up. We were photographers together. He was down on the Memphis end. I was in the Louisville end. We used to keep in touch. When he first got into business, he loved his dad. He first started as Tommy Gilbert Jr. and he wanted to be just like his dad. And he grew up wanting to be like Jerry Lawler. And it's sometimes to his detriment. He did a little too much of it. Even like in Philadelphia, he was trying to be the king and et cetera in Eastern Championship Wrestling. But Eddie was a great worker. Great promo. He had two problems. He wasn't as big physically as his talent was, and secondly, he had that car wreck, fucked his neck up early in the WWF, and it never. If you notice the way he took bumps and the way he sold, he never had full motion, and it caused him problems with, different things. But he had been on the committee the previous summer, and I replaced him, and I'd never had a booking job at all, right? So it's not like I'm just going to say, well, I'd like that spot. He got sideways with Flair because they ran a show in Memphis, and it was Eddie Gilbert versus Ron Simmons. And when you look at it, Eddie's 6 feet tall maybe, and 215 pounds, and there's Ron fucking Simmons. And Flair wanted to. He thought Ron Simmons was a hoss and he wanted to use him. And when Flair had just taken the book, they have the show in Memphis. Flair wasn't there, but Eddie, as a member of the committee, had the finishes. And the story I got was basically that Eddie thought that, well, he's got Ron Simmons beating me in Memphis. This has to be some kind of mistake because it's Eddie Gilbert and it's Memphis. Mm-hmm. And Flair didn't give a fuck about Memphis because he never watched Memphis wrestling, and I love Memphis wrestling. And so I didn't have a dog in that fight. I wasn't even there, as Davey would say. It was Owen. I wasn't even there. Eddie changed the finish, and Flair heard about it. And that's when Flair had called me, and it was like August or whatever, and said, "Do you want to be on the booking committee?" I said, "God, oh my God, does the Pope shit in the woods?" And I said, "Rick, I'll do anything for you, right?" And he said, "Well," he said, "the other guy." He always said, whenever he didn't want to mention somebody's name he was pissed at, he'd call him the other guy.
That's
the other guy,
defacing someone.
There's going to be an opening pretty soon because the other guy's not with me. He's not loyal. He's not on the bandwagon, whatever the fuck. So the reason I'm telling this is because Eddie had one time told a story, and I'm sure he remembered it that way, and I'm sure he was pissed off about it. But he had told the story that he walked in the booking committee meeting one time and I was sitting in his chair. And that's the way he found out about it. That was not true. For one thing, we didn't have assigned seating. And for another thing, Rick asked me if I wanted to be on it and said, keep it under your hat and don't say anything, and I got to do some things first. And Rick arranged to put Eddie off the committee and then brought me on. So it wasn't a situation where I didn't replace Eddie. I came on, he went off, but it was unrelated. So I just wanted to clear that up. But so since then, he had been one of the, it's awfully hard to go from being in a booking position to being one of the boys. And especially when Eddie knew he could book fucking wrestling and he could get a lot out of a little, and he was frustrated. He was as frustrated, probably or more frustrated as we were. We knew we could perform better. He knew he could book things differently is the way he saw it. So he pretty much wanted to get the fuck out of there too. Horsemen to ring, Sting at ringside, close, cover shot of ring as wrestlers attend to Sting and Luger.